via Iraq that were settled in Kentucky, I think. It was Kentucky or Tennessee. I think it was Kentucky, right? Very, very, very specific thing. So this was a specific ban in response to a specific event, and it was passed through Congress. It was legislation. It was not an executive order. Anybody that tells you that this travel ban was the same as Obama's travel ban, just there's two circumstances, both of which make them equally bad. One is they are insanely ignorant and they didn't do their homework before putting out a video or whatever because they wanted to drive a narrative, or I'm sorry, no, they're just ignorant and stupid, or they are deliberately misrepresenting the facts to you because they're trying to push a narrative built on lies, similar to how the Trump administration will just get on camera and tell lie after lie after lie, okay? You cannot accept these kinds of people. You don't have to agree with what I say. You can still think that Muslims are bad for the country. You can think that we should ban travel from all these countries. That's fine, okay? You can think all these things and disagree with everything you want that I say, but you cannot disagree with anything that I have just said here over the past 30 minutes and feel like you're operating in good faith, right?
Here is a relevant and heavily sourced analysis of these memes.
What about Jimmy Carter and his temporary ban of Iranians? Jimmy Carter's temporary ban of Iranians was a sanction placed on Iran specifically in regards to the Iranian hostage crisis, in which I think it was like 52? It was like 40 or 50 U.S. diplomats were being held hostage in Iran for like a year and 100 days, like 450 days. That is not comparable to banning every citizen from 7 arbitrary countries where no terror attacks have come out of in the last 15 years. It's not the same thing. Jimmy Carter's ban on Iran, Obama's ban on Iraq is not the same as Trump's ban. Neither of these are the same. It's 90 fucking days. Who cares? Kill yourself. I want you to try and hold your breath for 90 days. If a student is coming back to the United States and you've been told that you need to find another place, you probably haven't even lived out of your mom's fucking house for 90 days. Try to go to another country and be told when you were planning on staying there for 2 weeks that you have to stay there for 3 fucking months. That's bullshit. It's just 90 days. Fucking kill yourself. And maybe you can make room for somebody that got misplaced during the whole travel ban. What an absurd fucking statement, dude. Trying to survive and find a place to live in a foreign country for 3 or 4 months? That's insane, dude. You're an idiot. You're an absolute fucking idiot. Anybody that says it's only 90 days is a fucking idiot, okay? Like, if you haven't even spent 90 days at your own fucking house, like, come on, dude. Or even if you have, like... Destiny, if you say one side is cancer, then it is not democracy. I'll voice my... Blah, 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 blah. But to say that everything conservative media says is cancer, I never said that everything conservative media said is cancer. I am talking about a very, very, very specific thing. I am telling you that if somebody says that the travel ban is similar to Obama's or similar to Jimmy Carter's, they are lying to you. Okay? That's what I'm telling you. They are lying. They're lying. They're lying. Not only are they lying, but it's the worst kind of lies. They are undebatable, easily verifiable lies. It's not a difference in interpretation. It's not, they didn't have all the facts at that moment in time. It is not that like, well, this is a very complicated issue and multiple things are at play. It is an easily verifiable, simple to tell lie. That's all it is. Nothing about these countries is arbitrary, though. You seem to simplify way too much. Why would we ban Iran from people from Iran or Somalia or Libya? How many terrorist attacks have happened in the United States from these countries? And why are countries like Saudi Arabia still allowed to send people here when that's where the majority of the 9/11 hijackers came from? When Saudi Arabia, when the whole Gulf states are the people funding ISIS, why are these people all allowed over here? It's political bullshit and partisan hackery, okay? Do you think Iran sends money to fucking ISIS? Do you think that Iran is funding an extremist group to topple a Shia ally in Syria or in Iraq? Iran doesn't want to see these countries toppled. Where does ISIS gets their money from? The Gulf states, okay? And none of them, the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, none of them were involved in this ban, okay? This is a political bullshit, partisan bullshit, hackery bullshit, all right? That's all this is, okay? Destiny, there have been several memes about how several of the countries not listed are because Trump has businesses there. Is that true? I personally, I don't think that is a good vector of attack. I don't like that. The chances that Trump has done business in a country that we are friendly with is going to be much higher than him doing business in a country like Sudan or Syria or Iran, right? So while it is true that Trump has done business in the countries that are exempt from the ban, I don't know if that's the reason why he hasn't banned them. It's possible it could be a contributing factor. This is one of the reasons why we like our presidents to divest all of their interest in their companies, even though Trump has refused to do so, on top of refusing to release his tax returns, so we can't verify any of his financial background. But even with all that said, I think you can make an argument. I think you can make a legitimate argument for there to be a conflict of interest here, but I wouldn't bother because I think there are far easier things to attack. It is possible that Trump just happens to do business in all these places because he's a multi-billionaire real estate agent, and these places are places we're friendly with. It is possible that there's a conflict of interest, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, Gubby3850, you seem to be really mad in chat, dog. Do you want to come on and talk? You seem like you're really well informed, dude.
Dude, do you not follow sports? If a team hasn't won in a while, it's because they're due. Somalia is due for a terrorist attack in Minnesota. Some people may even notice it after it happens.
Oh shit, that's a good point. Wait, oh, I'm meme jacking that. I'm meme jacking somebody. Why don't we ban all travel from Israel? Hold on, it's Hamas, right? Are the people that exist in Palestine? Am I wrong? Wait, is that a good meme? I feel like that'll go over too many people's heads. I don't think it's a good meme. Why don't we ban all travel from Israel? Aren't we worried about Hamas? Or are we recognizing Palestine as an individual state now? What do you think? Is that a good meme, or does that go over too many people's heads? And they'll just say, like, most people probably don't even know that Palestine isn't an actual state. Actually, never mind. Never mind, it's too much. Oh, you fucking cock. Oh, wow, nice meme, dude. Didn't Trump just negotiate a deal with Saudi Arabia on the refugees? Okay, let me address this real fast, okay? Now, take what I say here with a grain of salt, okay? What did I listen to last night? Hold on, I gotta find this. 1 second. So, Saudi Arabia, when they take refugees, Saudi Arabia doesn't register them with the UNHCR. Is that what it is? UNHCR. So, if you've ever seen a Trump will post something. Oh, he's got those wing things. If you ever see that Trump will post something where they said that Saudi Arabia takes in 0 refugees? That's a little bit disingenuous because when Saudi Arabia takes them in, they don't count them as refugees. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. So like, here's an example, just so that I'm not saying some people, right? This is a very common assertion made on the right. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on. Why does my browser load so slowly on this computer? Wait, what do these little frowny faces mean? Oh my god. Oh fuck, what about all my links that I'm supposed to read? Alright, listen, we'll bookmark. Destiny, you missed my donation. Oh, what do you think about the Federal Reserve being called the greatest robbery of the no. Libertarians tend to dramatically over-exaggerate problems with the Federal Reserve because they tend to not have a very good understanding of how monetary policy works. I would say that the majority of internet libertarians are very, very, very ill-informed on monetary policy. Anytime somebody these are people that talk about like going back to the gold standard and shit like that, tend to not understand how economies work in a macro aspect. That's just from my point of view. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody seriously that seems to know what they're talking about talk about the abolishment of the Fed. If you want to see a lot of these types of people play out and you want to see why monetary policy is good, turn to the Bitcoin community. You can find a lot of very good memes there about why monetary policy is probably important to help your currency thrive. I'm sorry. What were you looking for? Grubby. Oh my god, you don't know the... Oh, hold on.
Real talk, Destiny, do you have any encouraging words for a senior high school teacher in history and political science who has students who is affected by this ban even in Sweden? And right now are not in a good mental state. Will it go downwards spiral or no?
I don't know. I'm not sure what to say. I don't know what to say. I can't help you there, dude. Talk to a counselor? Why'd you give me $15 for this? I don't know what to say, dude. It's not my area. Are you going to debate Grubby? Oh, yeah, sure. He even said something. Gubby. Oh, my God. You don't know what the FRB system is at all. Oof. Are you trying to catch me? Are you trying to catch me? Are you talking about fractional reserve banking? Are you going to say that that's the greatest evil? That's like the second meme. That's the second meme that libertarians always run to. Like, the Fed is evil. Well, I don't know. I think fractional reserve banking. Like, well, but then when you ask them, what's wrong with fractional reserve banking? Well, they lend out more money than they actually have. Well, yeah, sure. But it's to ensure that they can, they're able to satisfy, they're able to connect people that loan with people that deposit money. I don't think that fractional reserve banking is necessarily a negative thing. I've seen it backed by a lot of economists, and it seems to function today in today's economy. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if there is a bank run, that would be a negative thing, but that's why FDIC insurance exists, so that all of your deposits in federally insured banks are insured up to $100,000, or is it $250,000? I don't know. Do you think that fractional reserve... Tell me why you think that fractional reserve banking is harmful. Or here, get on Discord. Yeah, you wanted to talk. Let's go. I'm sorry, hold on.
If you didn't kill yourself after becoming a history teacher, then nothing will ever break you.
So the reason why I say take this with a grain of salt is because obviously this is a statement from the Saudi Arabia government. Sorry, fuck. I'm trying to get off of saying apparently Saudi Arabia. Saudi and Saudi is bad. It's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. Okay, there we go.
With regards to Syrian refugees, Saudi Arabia, since the beginning of the crisis, has taken in almost 2.4 million Syrians.
Great job, and I'm impressed you don't shy away from political chatter. It's really important stuff. For those of you who need 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. Minecraft, visit my channel and follow to hang out with my pretty and creative Minecraft streaming girlfriend. Keep up the good work.
Wow, nice meme, dude. Okay.
With regards to Syrian refugees, Saudi Arabia, since the beginning of the crisis, has taken in almost 2.4 million Syrians, of whom somewhere between 600,000 and 700,000 still remain in Saudi Arabia. Since over the past year and a half, Saudi Arabia has taken in almost 1 million Yemenis, of whom probably 700 or 800,000 still remain. None of them is in a refugee camp. None of them lives in a tent. The custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman, decreed last summer that any Syrian who comes to Saudi Arabia or any Yemeni who comes to Saudi Arabia be immediately provided with a work permit so they can have legal status, they can get jobs, they have access to healthcare, and their children can go to schools. Because we don't have one person in a tent, and as a consequence, we have not registered them with UN organizations as refugees. We want them to lead an honorable life, and we want them to lead a decent life, not live in tents or in refugee camps. So we have taken in a lot of Syrian refugees and a lot of Yemeni refugees as guests, not as refugees. And they're free to stay in Saudi Arabia until the crisis is over and their homes are rebuilt and they can go back. But we were and we haven't announced this or made a big deal out of it because we're not doing it to get credit. We're doing it to help our brethren in both Syria and in Yemen. And this is in addition to the substantial financial assistance that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has provided.
And also provided to ISIS, to be fair.
To Syrian refugees in Yemen.
And Sunni extremists, but
in Lebanon and in Jordan.
So I say I would take that with a grain of salt because I don't know the legitimacy of Saudi Arabia's figures. So there might be a middle ground
good work and check out
where
my solitaire streaming mom.
Maybe these numbers aren't 100% legitimate. Maybe they're heavily exaggerated. I'm not sure. However, I wonder if I can find that graphic where they list like all of the refugees being taken in, and people are like, oh, this graphic flew around a lot. I saw this. I think I saw this being posted in Breitbart. Number of Syrian refugees taken in by countries in the Middle East, right? And Saudi Arabia is sitting here at 0. The UAE is at 0. Qatar is at 0. Kuwait is at 0. I don't know if Kuwait counts as a Gulf state. I really don't know, actually. I don't know anything about Kuwait. But yeah, but these numbers are a little bit disingenuous because they don't register with the UNHCR. So it's not really a fair representation. The data source of all these refugees between the UN High Commission Refugees itself, which notes that over 4 million refugees have been registered in the UNHCR in Egypt, Iraq, blah, blah, blah. However, look at Saudi Arabia's UNHCR page has a few curious footnotes that Western publications are conveniently omitting. Counts refugees by noting only those persons recognized as refugees under the 1951 UN Convention / Protocol. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE are not parties to any of the UN protocols on refugees, and so though this is a technicality, they, along with most of their refugees, are excluded from any refugee counting mechanisms. That's just something to keep in mind, okay? So that you can have a more honest perception of what's going on. Again, let me reiterate this again. I wouldn't 100% buy what this guy is saying as fact. He could be exaggerating, but anyone that says 0 is probably being dishonest with you as well. Please stop saying disingenuous. The word is ungenuine. What? Okay, I'm sorry. Where's Gubby at? The government murders gay people and political and religious opponents. Do you think they are trustworthy, believable? Yeah, sure. I mean, we used to have slaves, and our government was trustworthy when we had slaves. We also had, we used to not let women vote in our country. I mean, just until recently, we didn't even let gay people get married. But I mean, our country is still relatively trustworthy. Just because you're kind of regressive in one area socially doesn't necessarily mean that you have a non-functioning state or a non-functioning government. I can't listen to this. This stupid cunt needs to fucking eat a fucking bullet, dude. I hate this bitch so much. God, she's so fucking stupid and so smug about her stupidity. Oh, fuck me. I can't even watch it. I can't. I'm not going to. I'm sorry. Where's Gubby at? We'll get him on. I need to talk to somebody. He said he wanted to talk to me, but I don't know where he went. Look at this. It's at least... Oh. Saudi foreign ministry officials claim that the nation has received nearly 2.5 million. However, the BBC reports that Saudi Arabia has let in 500,000, while Arab News reported Saudi Arabia was already home to 500,000. Saudi Arabia claims to have granted 100,000. An official stated that Saudi Arabia has made it a point not to deal with them as refugees. Yeah, so the number is somewhere between 1 and 250 million, I guess, or 2.5 million. Destiny, I'm in your Discord. Where are you at, dog? What channel? Wow.
8 months, basically the legal age of consent in Saudi Arabia. PogChamp.
Why is Saudi Arabia taking in Yemenis? Aren't they bombing the shit out of them at the moment? Because I think that Yemen is split. It's like, I think, isn't Yemen like a 40-40-20 split between Sunnis and Shias? Hold on, let me find out. I feel like there wasn't a large... Oh, is it 56% Sunnis? Oh, and 44% Shia. Okay, so I'm sorry, not as split as I thought it was, but still pretty split. So 56% are Sunnis and 44% are Shias. Fuck, they don't have any... I guess like 99% of them are Muslims. Maybe there aren't any other religious memers there. The last leader in Yemen, I believe, was a Shia, right? I keep looking this up and I keep forgetting.
Hey, Destiny, really like the stream. Especially the part where you told that one GUI to kill himself. Lol, he's so stupid. Anyways, check out for some epic Star Wars Force Arena streams. Now available on iTunes and Google Play Store.
This guy, right? This guy might be a Sunni memer. I see that because it says Saudi backed. Fuck. Oh, this was the guy that we were looking at before. He was ousted as president in 2012. Ousted as president in 2012. Okay, and he declared an alliance. He openly allied with Houthis. I don't know anything about these guys, but I see that they're a Shia group, so this probably stood at ends with the Saudi Arabia memers. Okay, what do we Destiny required meme? I retweeted this photo, guys, and I don't even think this is her real account. I think you guys roost me. I'm not sure what the fuck this account is. All right, dude, you're it. You got it, man. You're on. You made it.
Sweet. Let me
All
turn
right.
your thing off here, okay?
Sure thing. Houthi? Okay. What okay, what do you disagree with me so much about, Doug? We can start with the Trump memes.
Well, first of all, I disagree with your with pretty much everything when it comes to your political stance.
Okay, well, let's be specific rather than talking about my entire political stance.
Sure. Well, just to give you a little tiny background. So I'm 38, a little bit older than most of your little kids in here.
Sure.
But so when I was 19, I moved out of the house, started figuring out what I wanted to do, and I quit college because nothing really appealed to me outside of like astronomy, right?
Okay.
So then I start figuring out what I want to do, and I figure, okay, I want to trade. I want to trade stocks for a living, so I start trading on my own, and then I got hired at a firm, called it a prop firm, and I was basically one license short of like a fund manager.
Okay.
Like a hedge fund manager.
Hedge fund manager, sure. Okay.
And at the time, all I really knew was like trying to make money and how to do that, right? And so I started to look at the monetary system, how it works, and I was extremely closed-minded, somewhat similar to where you are right now. And
Okay.
and so the only thing that really I focused on initially was just how to make money, and everything seemed legit or whatever. But the more I looked at it, the more I started to realize that the specifically the financial structure of not only our monetary system but the entire world, in Western world, I should say. It's all structured in a very peculiar way, and but yeah, so I'm sure people have told you to read Creature from Jekyll Island, right?
Well, I've never heard of it before. No.
You've never heard of that book?
No.
Okay, chat, type 2. If you've heard of the book, go ahead and type 2.
What was the name of the book?
The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Okay.
So, if you start reading that book, it basically gives you the history of how the Federal Reserve System came into play in the U.S.
Okay.
and what the international financiers did in order to bring it all together. It's very crafty, actually, because they tried to install central banking, which is essentially what it is. They tried to install that 2 or 3 different times. I can't remember. Before they achieved it finally in 1913. But the way they finally achieved it was all the big banking families and all the big industrialists actually started pretending as though they didn't want it. At the very same time, they pushed it through during a quiet session in Christmas time. So that's essentially what they did. At the same time, they brought in the income tax at the same time. But the Federal Reserve System, what it actually does, if down to the nuts and bolts, it essentially gives the power, gives the money is actually owned by individual parties that, and they loan it out, and it's essentially how they have all the power. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the whole. Somebody just said it was a Negroid. And you're, I'm sure you heard of the whole ridiculous meme, the New World Order crap, and you think it's retarded and stupid and garish, and no way that's true, right?
I don't know. Are you about to tell me that the Illuminati and shit is real?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say Illuminati, because that's just a failed internet meme that people like to make fun of. But there is an elite system that controls the financial structure.
Okay, so how about instead of going off into the land of unverifiable conspiracy theories? So,
my only main point, I guess, is much less talking about Trump, which he's obviously a buffoon, but at the same time, he's not beholden to the international bankers, and that's the reason why.
Why is Trump not beholden to them?
And the majority of them. Well, that's kind of a long story, but let me try to think about how to describe that. But okay, let me put it to you this way. Have you ever seen a situation like we have now, where literally Fox News, for the most part, was absolutely adamantly against Trump? And then notice that all the major players in the Republican Party, we're talking like establishment players, they're all 100% against him. Have you ever seen something like that happen before? Now, you're going to probably say, well, it's because he's this or that, he's ridiculous or whatever.
But you're going to say it's because they're part of the secret society, Illuminati controlled.
No, I'm not calling them the Illuminati.
Not the Illuminati, but the secret society that is elite, controlling everything. If the secret society is so strong and they're elite and they control everything, why couldn't they just rig the elections a little?
Well, that's just it. They actually do. They've rigged.
Then why was Trump able to win the primaries?
Because the amount of actual. So if you remember, I'm sure you watched election night and saw how it was kind of up in the air, but he kept winning all these states, right?
Okay.
So at the very end, if you notice, if you think about it, and you can go back and look and verify, and I won't be able to define it exactly, but at the very end, they finally let all these major metropolis areas, all their votes come in. And what they did was they were holding it back because they were going to distort the numbers.
Are you talking about how the news stations wouldn't call it for cities
because
not they were waiting?
Stations. No, the actual vote was held back in major metropolis areas. You can go and look at and see counties and who won which counties.
Okay, I think we should. I don't think this is a fruitful conversation because you're getting into hardcore. You're talking about widespread voter fraud that has apparently occurred in the past. It has never been proven by anything. I'm guessing I would probably have to watch a bunch of grainy videos and pick out a bunch of pixels.
Well, not necessarily. Actually, there's a very liberal person. I can't remember her name right now. There's a very liberal person, the one that exposed all the vote fraud for the Gore Bush election. And proved, she had actual HBO documentary about it. She proved that Bush lost the election and that they rigged it.
Okay.
And she is the same person now coming out showing you that they rigged it for Hillary. But here's the problem. The amount of people that actually voted for Trump compared to Hillary is astronomical. So it's an absolute BS lie that what's being pushed around in media these days, which is that she won the popular vote and blah
Gotcha.
blah blah. It's actually way off. And
Okay.
so here's a person who's on the far left who is essentially
Sounds like a
proving
conspiracy theorist. I don't think proving. You're using the word proving. I don't think you know what that word means.
well, and I'm not doing it justice. I'll be honest. You know, and me talking should never have any effect on what you believe, right? Just try to find this lady. I can't remember her name, but I would say read that book if you got the time.
That
to
was
even
written
just
by
look over
the
it.
AIDS, HIV, and 9/11 denier. I don't know, dude. I feel like there are other books that I could do better
Sorry,
to
what?
read. Apparently, this guy is like an HIV and AIDS denier, and this guy is like a crazy hardcore conspiracy theorist.
Okay, the stuff that he talks about in the creation of the Federal Reserve is well documented. It's not something that's you know.
Yeah, so I feel like I would rather read something from an economist or somebody with a background in that area rather than somebody that specializes in hardcore conspiracy theories.
Okay, well, fine. That's totally fine.
Okay.
But okay, well, do this then. I can't remember her name, but you can find out the lady that did the did all the work on the elections that I'm talking about. She had a program on HBO, you know, because it was politically correct for her to be stamping out a Republican. Don't get me wrong, George W. Bush is pure evil, 100%, but and a fumbling idiot at the same time. But check her out. She's pretty damn interesting, and she shows actually she has a guy that actually went and found the protocols that they were using within the system to change all the votes. So way above my understanding, computer wise, and all that. But
Gotcha.
it's very interesting nonetheless.
Okay.
But yeah.
So is there anything I
You-
said that you actually disagree with, or did you just want to come on and talk about the conspiracy memes?
Well, I actually wanted you to just take a look at stuff with a little bit more of an open mind, because you are very close-minded, even though you probably don't think you are. Right?
Have you ever heard the saying, don't let your mind be so open that your brain falls out?
So you think that people that are open-minded are just allowing themselves to not use the scientific
There's a
method,
difference
essentially,
between
right?
being open-minded and having critical thought and critical analyses of ideas. I consider myself to be open-minded, but if you don't present any viable evidence...
Well, here's
then-
the thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to point out where you're completely wrong in what you've just said to me in the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
You won't go read The Creature from Jekyll Island because of the stupid shit that you read on the internet about G. Edward Griffin. Now,
Is the
is that
guy not
critical
actually
thinking?
is the guy not actually an HIV/AIDS denier or whatever?
I've never heard that in my life, and
Hold
I've
on.
read that book 10 years ago.
What was
But
his name? G.F. Griffin?
G. Edward Griffin is his name.
G. Edward Griffin.
Yeah, I read the book a long time ago, but it lays out the structure of how the Federal Reserve System works.
Okay, so he is an HIV/AIDS denialist. He supports the 9/11 truth moment and supports a specific John F. Kennedy assassination conspiracy theory. Also, he believes the actual geographical location of the biblical Noah's Ark is located at the Diyarbakir site in Turkey. If I was going to read a book, I feel like I could find a million other books that are more valuable to read than anything written by this guy. Does that make me close-minded? Maybe. I guess maybe.
Well, okay, so I don't know how he's a AIDS denier or whatnot, but it sounds kind of ridiculous. Maybe he says that it was created or something. Who knows? But my only point
So
is
in
that
1973, Griffin wrote and self-published the book World Without Cancer and released it as a video. Its second edition appeared in 1997. In the book and video, Griffin asserts that cancer is a metabolic disease, like a vitamin deficiency facilitated by the insufficient dietary consumption of Laetrile. He contends that eliminating cancer through a non-drug therapy has not been accepted because of the hidden economic and power agendas of those who dominate the medical establishment.
well, that's somewhat true. Medical establishment is bullshit in this country.
Griffin engaged in HIV/AIDS denialism in 2010, claiming that the human immunodeficiency virus doesn't exist and that antiretroviral medications, rather than the HIV, cause AIDS. So it's actually when you go to the doctors and get the drugs, that's what gives you AIDS. I feel like this is a guy that is not worth reading about. I don't know. I would rather...
I can understand that your point of view based on that information. My only contention is okay, so if you just focus on the scientific method and that alone, right?
Okay.
You don't pay attention to like the whole body of someone's work. For instance, like somebody says that you're terrible in one facet of your life or whatever, so they discount you entirely, and they don't look at anything else that you might bring to the table that has value.
Okay,
so
let me give you the example that you're trying to make, and I'll tell you why it's a bad dichotomy, and I'll give you a different example, okay? So what you're trying to say is, let's say that I'm bad at basketball, okay? Let's say that I'm bad at basketball, and then I say, okay, well, I wrote a very good research paper on this particular topic. And then you're saying that I'm going, well, since you're bad at basketball, your paper probably sucks too, and that's an irrational argument, right?
Say that again, because
so let's say that I'm bad at basketball and I write a research paper that I consider to be very valuable, right? And then somebody says Destiny's research paper is garbage because he's bad at basketball. That's what you're saying that I'm saying, right? That's my assertion, that because he's bad at one thing, his other work must be bad.
I mean, to some degree, sure.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying. That what I'm saying is more the equivalent of some guy says that I say that I have a 36-inch vertical. Okay, I can jump 3 feet off the ground and dunk the ball. Okay, but I have no legs. So if somebody were to say, "Hey, Destiny has no legs. He can't possibly have that high of a jump," well, that's a legitimate thing to point out, right? Do you agree with that? To bring that analogy back to this, okay? If this guy wrote a book condemning the Federal Reserve, in order to condemn a system like that, you must have a pattern of critical thinking and analysis skills that would lead you to conclusions that are worthy of sharing with other people. If these same critical thinking skills have led you to believe that AIDS isn't real, that the Noah's Ark exists and there are fossil records of it, and that cancer is a metabolic disease, you probably don't have the critical thinking and analysis skills necessary to write a book that is taking apart a complicated system like the Federal Reserve. That's my argument.
Sure. Well, but here's my problem though. At the very crux of it all is your focus is always going to be very tilted in the sense that you're going to, instead of look at the information provided for a subject matter, you're going to look at who brought that information and pick apart the rest of whatever else they might be doing in their lives.
Yes, because if somebody has a background in an area, they're probably more qualified to talk about that area. If somebody wanted to give me a big breakdown on an analysis of some musical piece and their background was like some like construction work or whatever, I'm probably not as interested as somebody that spent their life studying composition.
Well, here's the thing though. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're structured in this life, right? Let's say we're all structured in this life to believe certain things, and we don't recognize that, and there's a scientific structure that's built up around us to keep us in the dark. The only way you might be able to find a way out of that is by staying open-minded and still at the same time using the scientific method, because nobody can explain building number 7. I mean, you're going to try to explain it away probably if you want to, but nobody can. Nobody can explain the way that dropped. And here's the other thing too. The reporter, I'm sure somebody's brought this up to you too. The reporter that reports it 2 hours beforehand, is that what it was? 2 hours, maybe 20 minutes. I can't remember exactly.
Mm-hmm.
From the BBC, and it's actually in the background while she's reporting that it has fallen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that shows you the script, and it's so obvious. It's so fucking obvious, man. But here's the problem: you can't go there because you're stuck with relativity and all this other stuff that you've been built on with your mindset in the Western world and what you believe is happening. You think it's impossible for something so massive to go beyond you or to actually be there without
I guess
you
it
noticing.
seems so crazy to me that you're talking about a new world order that was capable of causing 9/11, that was capable of getting tens of thousands of independent investigator and collaborators to all agree that 9/11 wasn't some kind of big government conspiracy, that has everybody in government on board with this, that is capable of rigging and controlling elections. All of this exists, but somehow Hillary Clinton lost the election by 80,000 votes. I don't know, dude. I'm having a hard time like reconciling those two things.
Well, look at architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. There's a ton of those guys out there, a ton of them. Guess what though? None of them are directly working with universities that have that control their monetary value going forward.
Okay, so why couldn't they just get Hillary Clinton to win the election? I don't understand how Trump won by 80,000 votes. Like, it just seems.
Well, I don't know the exact number that he won by, but I didn't say that. And I don't know, and I don't really care. But my point with that is they were holding back those major metropolis areas in order to stack it at the very end.
Okay,
So
but
that
they
can
messed
guarantee
up, I guess.
you'll win. No. What happened was that if you can go look at all the other all the counties, go look at how he won by counties. You'll find that he won almost every single county in the United fucking States, and it was so lopsided that when they went to turn it on at the very end, which is why they didn't report those major metropolis areas, they didn't have enough to actually over push it. And that's why she didn't come out at the end of the night, because she was completely stunned, throwing a fit, and she already knew the fix was in. Everyone knew it was in. Everyone that is not, I shouldn't say everyone. Everyone that's in a big position in the political spectrum knew the fix was in, and they've known their entire political lives that the fix has always been in. It's just how it works.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say to the stream before I take off?
I want to say that if there were no queens in StarCraft 2, you would have gotten your ass kicked a lot more.
Wow. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
All right.
No, I love your stream though, man, and I love, I don't like Minecraft, but.
All right. Well, have fun, dude.
Yeah. Word. See you, man.
Fuck me, dude. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. Give me like 5 minutes. I'll be back. I don't know why Hillary didn't win. Who knows, dude? I'll be back. Are you not interested in reading this too conspiracy? Trial balloon for a coup? I don't know. What do you want me to read, dude? The administration is testing the extent to which the DHS can act and ignore from all the other branches of government. This is as serious as it can possibly get. All of the arguments about whether Order X or Y is unconstitutional mean nothing if elements of the government are executing and the courts are being ignored. Yesterday was a trial balloon for a coup d'etat against the United States. It gave them useful information. Holy shit, he just dropped this dude.
He was looking like he was in pain. Don't lose the propaganda war! No agitation! Your boy got knocked out! That's right! You got knocked out!
Did I watch the Tommy Lauren video? I don't think I can, dude. My blood pressure will go fucking too much for me. Oh, we were gonna start working on lights. Oh, these people were talking. What are these guys talking about? Really makes you think.
Made. It was. I mean, it was just pristine, and like the matchmaking was great. the BattleNet, like the custom games, everything about it was wonderful. It was like the pinnacle of Blizzard. And then they came out with WoW, and they started getting subscriptions, and like they changed their.
Blizzard was destroyed by Activision.
No, but that was way later.
Wait, are you talking about the
later.
original Battle.net?
Yeah.
I think that one thing that's
the
important.
Blizzard Activision thing didn't happen until like what, like 2012, 2013.
2008.
I think that one thing that's really important to take into account when you talk about
WoW.
how,
WoW was like 2002, 2001.
When you talk about how like perfect the original Battle.net was, I think it's really important to take into
Dude,
account.
old Blizzard was great, man.
Holy shit! Let him talk.
When you take into account how like the environment of the internet existed at the time, like one of the great things about Battle.net at the time was that, or one of the reasons why it was so great is because it was such a strong community, but we also didn't really have strong social media presence at that point either, or other areas that you could hang out at, right? Like Battle.net was the place to go to chat, but you also didn't have Skype, you didn't have Discord, you didn't have Teams, well, maybe TeamSpeak back then, but like for the most part, you didn't really have all these other, yeah, you had like Ventrilo, you didn't really have all these other large communities to hang out with.
I don't know.
No, not really. No, not really. I mean, you had like MSN kind of and AIM kind of, but these were an ICQ, but these weren't really as widespread and ubiquitous as social media is today. I think that's one of the reasons why Battle.net, even though it didn't offer much in the way of features, was so much more sociable.
You fucking cancerous now. Dota 2. Thank you.
No, sorry. I meant Dota killed Warcraft 3 for me. It killed the scene, the map scene. It actually did. I fucking hate that it did that.
Oh, I love Dota so much. Like,
When I played Warcraft 3, I just played like the meme game modes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, eventually, it was just Naruto RPG, and then it was Dota.
No.
I can't remember what it was called, but there was like a king
But
and
there
stuff.
was
I don't remember what the game was
Frenzy. I mean,
called.
there were so many good games.
StarCraft
also killed
Warcraft 3 just to
Warcraft
play
3.
Dota.
No,
Like-
StarCraft was way before Warcraft 3. StarCraft was 1999, dude.
I'm talking about StarCraft 2. What the fuck?
Oh.
Or I played the tower defense in
Moonblade
Warcraft.
used to play Dota, and Grubby, or I'm sorry, not Dota. Moonblade used to play Warcraft 3 and also Grubby, and then when StarCraft came out, they became StarCraft pros.
Remember how?
No, but
cancerous
I'm
it
talking
was
about
that
when
you had to
Activision
go
bought
download
Blizzard.
Dota? Like,
Yeah, but that was
Activision
way.
bought Blizzard way
like-
later. That was like after Wrath of the Lich King.
No.
Grubby was
that
playing.
2008. That was 2008. When
Grubby was
Activision
playing
bought
Warcraft
Blizzard.
3 for like 9 years though. Like he was
Yeah.
super like.
Like I was.
I mean,
playing
I
it in British
feel like
Crusade.
that's like an appropriate time to like move on. You know, like Grubby's like what, like 40 now?
I
No,
think
what?
Activision
What?
just bought
He's
so
pretty
many
old
companies-
for
or
esports
companies and
sake,
just-
but he's not that old.
Yeah,
Not that
no,
old?
he's not 40.
No man, I disagree. I think
I used to love me some
Warcraft
Grubby.
just went to shit after Activision got involved.
I think Activision had absolutely no impact on Blizzard whatsoever.
I